Not
If we
anymore.
are,
Not anymore. So students without COVID vaccine, they can still come to Malta. That's not a requirement anymore. Back in the days, you had to provide vaccination certificate before being allowed to come out of the airport, but this things has changed. As I said, because COVID is quite, controlled in Malta, there are no alarming figures, so students and anyone can still travel freely without the need to present any documentation for COVID.
okay. And I saw a statement in the PPT that it stated that English language test can be taken afterwards also, because I haven't given any English test right now, like IELTS and Duolingo. So is it possible if I come like, take the admission over there?
Okay, yeah. So Omkar, I think what you're saying is, can you apply without an English test? So definitely you can. It's probably a good thing to do that, and then see if you're selected. Then obviously you can book a test. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, my manager means like my ma'am didn't say me about this part. And regarding the sharing rooms, uh, I am actually totally like funding my own self. I said to my ma'am that I got only 25% of my fees right now. I, so can you give me some example? What should I opt for?
Okay, so in terms of accommodation, as you rightly said, this is something that we offer it as an additional service. You can also do the option, for example, of booking accommodation with the school for just a short period. Until then, you find another alternative when you are in Malta. So over here, I'm not expecting students to book 1 year straight away accommodation with GBS Malta, but mainly, ideally for the first month or two, until one, understands more about Malta and looks for accommodation privately, it would make sense, if one books accommodation with the school. Our idea here is for the students that when they come to Malta, they are at peace of mind. So they don't have to worry about whether to book accommodation privately, what they are going to do once in Malta. But it's, to have a complete service. As I said, we can also book airport transfers for you. So the driver will come and pick you from the airport, take you to the accommodation, and your next step is just on Monday to, be present at school. But Omkar, you are free to choose whatever kind of accommodation. Keep in mind that again, if booking accommodation with the school, that means less funds, less financial statement when it comes to visa. So I think it has a bit of advantages, if you book accommodation with the school. As I said, our residence is an American style residence. Uh, I mean, state of the art, it's one of a kind. And this is not something I am saying, even when agents come here, they remain impressed with the quality that we offer, also when it comes to accommodation.
Okay. I guess that's the best option because $18.
It is half the price, Omkar, as you rightly said, from 35 euros, this goes down to 18 euros. And I think, it makes sense to book, the first 2 months accommodation with the school. And then, when you start making, new connections, maybe with other students, and then maybe you decide, to book something privately, sharing an apartment with other students. I think this works well.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Uh,
Should
Uh,
I go with Danish next? He's raised the hand
yeah.
3 times.
Yes, that's great. If you're keeping track of who's in the queue, that's great.
Danish, you're live. Hello, Danish. Okay. I have some chat message also. If we
I think
accept the GBS offer, the health insurance is arrange myself or GBS will support it for it.
so. I
Mr.
think as
Saiket.
Mr. Saiket, I think, we offer insurance, as David rightly said, as an additional service for students. I believe the fact that we have an international recognized health insurance at 10 euros per week, that is quite a very good price. But again, if you want to book insurance privately, maybe you know someone that can give you maybe a better deal. It's up to you. We are not here, forcing students to book something with us. Keep in mind that insurance is a requisite for when it comes to visa. It needs to be an international recognized insurance having a minimum coverage of 30,000 euros. Then we have another question from Psychard. It's about if we accept advance payment for accommodation. So if you are going to book accommodation with the school and you are planning to book accommodation for 2 months, then we will require, advance payment for those 2 months. I don't think we will have, students that want to book the whole stay 1 year. However, keep in mind that if after 2 months you didn't find any other option or you would like to keep staying in our residence, all you need to do is let our student services department know, and we will book another 2 months, another 3 months for you against, of course, payment.
Does that help you, Mr. Saikat? We've unmuted you. Next is Anagor Chidaria. Anagor, can you please speak up? Anagor, are you there? Yes. Jose is asking for a question. Jose, let me just unmute you. Yes. Can you try to speak?
Hi, Ellen. Hi, David. I
Hello.
hope you're well. Can you able to hear me?
Yes, Jose.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, the thing is like until now, I haven't got any kind of response from the Barclays University regarding my offer letter. So I was pretty much worried about the thing like, what if the classes get started after paying the fees, and if it takes around 1 to 2 months of time for me to get an visa. So it will be a problematic for student like us, right?
That's a great question, Hussey. Yeah, so obviously we're hoping to actually kind of close the admissions when there's not enough time for you to apply for a visa if you need a visa. But let's say that there is an extended duration in that visa application. We'd obviously then see if it's possible to move your intake to the next available option. So, for example, at the moment we have people starting in April. And if somebody wasn't able to come, we'd obviously, in the first instance, look to see if we can move them onto the October intake, which would be next. But in most cases, I think it should be fine. It should be processed within the timelines that the consulates and the missions are saying it takes to apply. One thing to raise actually is this is one of the reasons why we check those documents for you, is to just hopefully improve your chances of success in that visa application. And in some cases, there may be express services that you can see if you can actually use.
Okay. That's it from my end. Have a great day.
You too, thank you.
Thanks, Elsie.
We have a question from O. Martin. Let me unmute him. Thank you for the presentation. What's the earliest timeline that one can apply for the visa? Also, how much earlier can you arrive to Malta before the program commences?
Great, thanks for the question, Ola Jumoke. So I would say we actually the earliest timeline that you can apply for the visa. I'm not sure. I don't think there is a statute on that, is there, Alan? I think you can apply as early as possible. And obviously, it's not like you're going to be applying a year before. It'll always be a few months before. I think the most
Exactly.
important thing is what's the last time that you can apply, and we're probably looking at 2 months before the start date is really probably, you know, the kind of the last opportunity to apply for a visa for most countries.
Yeah,
Um,
correct.
in terms of arriving, we'll have enrollment will be open 1 week before induction, and we have an extra week after induction for you to turn up during then. So we'd normally anticipate people arriving in Malta 1 to 2 weeks before the induction date. And that just gives you an opportunity to check into your accommodation, to get to know the area, and just feel at home.
Oh, Martin, does that help you? We have unmuted you.
Yes, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Mariam is next. Mariam, we have unmuted you. Hi, Mariam. Mir Mariam Akhtar, are you trying to speak?
In the meantime,
Perhaps
Hamad, I think,
There are
because we have a
some
good
messages, yeah.
we have a good question from Saida. It is about the Get Qualified scheme. Very, very good question. So basically, the Get Qualified scheme is an incentive for students, you know, even local students, but also, you know, foreign students, third country nationals, you know, that come to Malta to study in one of our higher education schools that are in Malta. We are proud enough, you know, to have our courses approved and recognized by the Get Qualified scheme, where basically this scheme can give you up to 70% back in tax credit. Now, in order for this scheme to be applicable for students, they need, of course, to be living in Malta, but also working in Malta. As I said, students in Malta can work for a total of 20 hours per week, and I do believe that once course is completed, once you have a qualification, I do believe that students will stay in Malta for various reasons. You know, one of them is the working opportunities there are for students in various sectors. So that means that at the end of the year, because since you are working, you will be paying taxes every month. At the end of the year, the government will give you a tax credit. So basically, if you work here and live here for, you know, more than a year or two, you know, you are looking at paying just 3,000 euros, 3,200 euros for a master's instead of 7,000. Of course, in the initial payment is 7,000 euros. You will get back tax credit through the Get Qualified scheme. I believe this is a very good initiative. It is one of a kind when it comes to Europe. So, and it works. You know, I've tried it myself. Other students tried it. It is something that works. You will get tax credit at the end of the year. So the other question is, what if I have a relative in Malta where I can stay? How much do I need to show in the bank statement? This question is a very good question. If you have a relative, but he's already living in Malta, in that case, he would need to prepare a letter stating that he will be staying with you, that the student will be staying, you know, in their accommodation, but also confirming that in case something happens in terms of financial means, he will be supporting you. You might still be required to provide 35 euros per day, as David rightly said, if the relevant clarification is not clear enough for visa purposes. So I would always rely on the 35 euros rather than from a statement, you know, issued by your relative. The purpose of this is very important for all of you to understand. We don't want students to end up in Malta without having enough financial means, you know, to live and study in Malta. So this is why we have these figures of 18 and 35 euros per day. My suggestion in this case will be, Anagor, is that for the first few months, 1 month or 2 months, you book accommodation with the school. After the second month, you just move out of our school accommodation and you stay, you know, with your friend. Because in that case, you don't need to give any explanation for visa authorities and you only need to show 18 euros instead of 35. Now, the next question from Saikat, if I pay my tuition fee and my visa is rejected, yes. Now, for the first intake, We are not going to charge administration fees if your visa is rejected. However, of course, we would need an official documentation from the visa authorities confirming and proving that your visa has been refused. Once we are in possession of these documents, we will refund in full.
Any other questions? The chat is on available for you, and I still see Danish trying to speak. Danish, can you speak again? I've enabled the mic.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, David. Hi, Alan. I just wanted to ask you about the dependents. Like, if we have dependents, do we have any provision of getting the dependents along for some time at least, or is there no provision?
So for dependents, there is a way. So let's start. So for students attending higher education courses, of course, they follow the student visa policy. Any partners, dependents that are coming to Malta, they would need to apply for a 3-month visa that is normally referred to as a tourist visa. And after those 90 days, normally one would need to leave the island. There are another 2 options which one can use in order for the dependents to stay here. One of them is to find a job in Malta. As I explained in our initial introduction of this presentation, was that unemployment rate in Malta is currently at 2.6%. So that means that there are a lot of working opportunities, for everybody. So if someone finds a job in Malta, the employer would need to apply for a work permit in order for this person to be legally, permitted to work in Malta. That work permit in itself gives the permission to anyone to stay in Malta for 1 year. This work permit is also extended every year, and the employer can renew this work permit online. Now, a very good important point when it comes to work permit. The work permit is the property of the employer. So let me give you an example with myself. If I'm working with Lufthansa Technique, for example, and after a while I decide to leave the company, that work permit is no longer valid because my employer will, of course, terminate that work permit. The other option is for someone, to attend English lessons, for example. As you know, our group also has an English language school called English Path. So by attending an English course with English Path, first of all, it is much cheaper than higher education, but also attending an English language course, we will prepare the necessary documents for visa purposes, and the student can stay in Malta attending English language courses. However, I believe that the first option of finding a job is a pretty easy thing to do because, as I said, working opportunities in Malta are quite available, for everyone.
Thank you. And anything about the post-study work? Like, the counselor I spoke to has told me something about the post-study work, but we did not get complete information. So can you please?
So, yes, I can tell you straight away. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The post-study work visa for Malta is 9 months. Now, during these 9 months, you have 3 options, basically. Either you start looking for a job, which I believe this process would have started quite before. The other option is for anyone to open a business in Malta. And I proudly say that we have an entity called Business First in Malta, which is run by the European funds. It's again a government entity where this entity helps everyone opening a company in Malta. So they will assist you with a business plan, they will assist you with financial documents, they will even assist you, with first contacts, bank, for example, in order to obtain a business loan. So the purpose of this entity is to help anyone that is, hoping or planning to open a business in Malta. Something, which maybe I should have said in the beginning. Malta has a population of 600,000 people, and according to the last National Statistics Office survey, 20% of this population is non-Maltese people. So this shows you the amount of foreigners we have coming here for work purposes, to open businesses, to attend classes, to attend higher education courses. So the purpose of Business First is specifically to help anyone that would like to open a business. The other option is, of course, to stay here in Malta 9 months, enjoying your holiday and then go back to your country. However, I don't really believe the PSW for Malta will have a huge effect. And I'm going to be honest with you. If a student has already found a job because as you know, students can work after the first 90 days, automatically the employer will apply for the work permit, and that gives you permission to stay for 1 year in Malta. So let's say after the first 90 days, you start working, that means that you have 1 year, additional 1 year after the first 3 months that you can stay in Malta. Bear in mind that the work permit is issued by the employer, so you have to keep working in that industry in order for the work permit to be applicable. But as probably you know, there are various sectors in Malta where you can work. We have the Lufthansa Technique, which is the aviation, aviation sector. iGaming industries like Betsin, Bwin, B365, and these are all the time looking for people to work within their industries. Hospitality industry, ranging from sales, marketing, manager, duty managers. These are all roles which any student can take. Our purpose here, and this will be done through recruitment companies. So we will have even recruiting companies visiting the campus, giving lectures, giving presentation to students of the job opportunities that are in Malta. What we don't want is, of course, we don't want our students attending master courses, for example, and ending up working, as a waiter, for example. This is not our intention. Our intention is to make sure that our students attending a business and management course are working in that kind of sector and field. But I can assure you, that Malta has a lot to offer, even when it comes to job opportunities.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate the answer.
You're welcome.
Very helpful.
Thank you.
I'm unmuting
We've
Omkar.
got another one on here. I was going to say we've got one from Sekat,
Okay.
Alan, which says, does your campus have any student union or international students part-time jobs kind of arrangements?
So this is a very, very good question. No, but as I said, we will be having recruiting companies coming here in order to guide students, in order to make the first contact with companies. We will also be having key speakers like CEO, for example, of big companies coming here in order to give you, presentation of job opportunities there are. Even, for example, if you Google jobs in Malta, for example, this is a public website. Over there, you will have an idea of the job opportunities that are in Malta. They start from hospitality industry. They keep going, for example, with Google. Google has even an office in Malta and takes care of the artificial intelligence sector. So there's quite a lot. Probably if you Google Malta and you think Malta is an island of 600,000, maybe there's nothing we can do there. But believe me, and I can say this from the English part, which is the language school. We have 300 students currently in Malta attending English classes, and 90% of these students are all studying and working.
Yes, we have a question from Omkar again. Omkar, I have unmuted you.
Um, Actually, my question was related to the job website only. Means like, will be provided or like that, or you said that the companies will be coming and giving the seminar like that. Alright. Second was the qualification. Right now, I have done BE in engineering, bachelor's in engineering. So, and I call like my passed out year was like 2020. So I have a little bit gap. So, and in that gap also, I have like 1 year experience, not a not a full year also. It's like a break, and like 6 months over here, 3 months, 3 months like that. So is it required for the MBA course? I'm trying for the MBA course. Is it required mandatory 2 years experience?
Okay. I think it cut out there, but I think I got the gist. So you're considering the MBA, is that right?
Yes.
I think the audio might have cut off. I'm presuming you meant you were going for the MBA. So for the MBA, yeah, we've got some it's accredited by UK MBA Association. So because of that, applicants will need to go through a few extra processes. So we've got two courses. We've got a Master MA in Business and Management. That's a really good option for people who have just a little bit of supervisory experience. They want to move up into more senior management positions. Good grounding of kind of all management practices and skills, and also touch on a lot of other areas that you're going to be involved in, like finance and marketing. We've also got the MBA, so Master of Business Administration and Leadership. More rigorous. It's for people who've already got 2 years management experience at least, and it's about getting that accredited qualification that's really going to help you move up into senior positions in your careers. So if I heard you correctly, you said you've got one year's experience in a supervisory position, I think you said. So you see, that would be unfortunately just a little bit too short. So kind of an ideal opportunity for you would maybe to go for the MA, and that'll give you those kind of grounding skills and knowledge and acumen that will help you in your future career, or to go on to the MBA afterwards.
I'm mostly looking for MBA option. So it won't be.
View each application on its own merits. So yeah, if you apply, we'll have a look at what experience you've got and whether it matches up for our selection.
Like I was a coding instructor for 6 months, and 3 months I was doing internship, and for 3 months I was just working in a company. So will it be possible? Any possibilities for?
Well, I think what would be good, Onkar, is if you could maybe send us an email, just outline your experience and maybe with your CV, and then that would help us kind of make a decision on how best to advise you.
Actually, when I was a coding instructor, I got potential clients for the company also during that time. So is it possible to show like those things?
Yeah, I think we can't really go into the specifics on this call, obviously. But yeah, if you want to send us an email with that information, then we can have a look at it and we'll be able to give you advice on what the next step is. I'll put our email address in the chat, so you can access it, and also if anybody else has any questions after this, then they can get in touch with us.
Thank you for that. Thank you, David. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot, Anka. Probably at the end of the questions, then, does it seem? I haven't
I think
seen anything
we
on the chat
missed
be added.
Saida's question of why would they refuse our visa? What can be the reasons?
So
Okay, so yeah, I've put an answer in there for Miriam, but yeah, I mean the typical thing is usually it's individual error from the applicant. So a good example is the finances. If you haven't got the right amount of collateral in your bank account when you make the application, then obviously they're going to put a cross in that box. So it's usually just very simple stuff like that. If your passport, there are rules about when your passport has been issued. It can't have been issued over 10 years ago, and it's got to have enough time on the end. I think it's 2 years or something. We'll give you this information. They don't have as an applicant. But yes, it's little things like that. If you don't follow the rules on the visa application, then it will just be rejected as an administrative basis. But yeah, otherwise it's very straightforward. But for Malta, it's a lot more straightforward than applying for a visa to the UK as well. So we're going to be helping you through that process. Well, if there aren't any last minute questions, I've put our admissions team email address in there, so feel free to send any further questions that you might come up with. And yes, I think that's probably it then in that case. Thanks a lot to everybody for attending. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and Alan, of course. I always love hearing, because being Maltese, you have a very specific view of Malta, and it's fantastic to hear about.
Thank you. I mean, thanks to Hamal, and all of you for joining. I think it was a very interesting sessions, good questions. I can see straight away, that we had some good questions. Thanks to you, David, your admission side and visa thing spot on. Nothing to fault. So thank you. And, we hope to see you soon in Malta. As I said, Malta has a lot to offer. So, any questions you have, please feel free to send us an email. Now, accommodation campus hub cover. The last question from Omkar, so the accommodation at Campus Hub covers, as I said, the room. So we have two options. We have a sharing room, but also single room. Price, of course, varies depending on the option. You have a cluster kitchen. It's a shared kitchen where you can make use, you can prepare your own breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can also store your food in one of the fridges that are available in the kitchen. There's heating included and also cooling, because in summer you would need an AC or definitely an air conditioning, to stay in a good temperature. And also, there's maintenance included, 24 hour by 7 reception service, security also included. You can also make use of the outdoor pool. There's also, a volleyball pitch and a football pitch, which you can use. So, it's the one of a kind, it's not because we make use of Campus Hub. I think it's the first one in Malta, American style residence. If you have an idea about the American style residence, this is perfectly it. You have a study area, gaming area where you can play together with other students, like for example, table soccer. It's a one of a kind. And the feedback we got from our students that are using Campus Hub, everybody, is fully satisfied with the accommodation that we are offering. Thank you, Omkar.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. It's been lovely to connect. And I hope you'll have a good rest of your mornings, afternoons, evenings, wherever you are in the world. And yeah, please get in touch.
Thank you.